So as many of you know, I just got back from 5 days at Spirit Rock, which was actually a gift from the board and from the community. And I don't know about you, but I needed help centering, right? The past couple weeks, actually the past couple months, if I'm totally honest. And it was really this beautiful, beautiful opportunity to be still, and to quiet and to allow my system, right, my entire system to just rest, And I was thinking about William's words. It was like in my head the whole time I was sitting, right? Rest and be thankful. Rest and be thankful. And I kept sitting with, well, what is it that I'm going to rest in? Because I was feeling a little scattered. So what is it that I'm actually going to rest in? What am I competing with? Well, let's not have emergency services show up, so that would be interesting, wouldn't it? So I kept sitting with, what is it that I'm being invited to rest in? And I was at Spirit Rock, and we just finished our book study on The World Could Be Otherwise, and so the Buddhist principles have been very alive for me for the past couple months. And one of the things we talked about when we were reading the book was what the Buddhists call the three refuges. And through this whole retreat, that was what we were being invited to rest into. We were being invited to rest into this idea of, so the three refuges are the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And refuge also in the Latin can mean to return. So that spoke to me, the idea that I'm returning to something, right? Refuge for me, sometimes we do need to take refuge, right? We feel battered, we feel knocked around. But in that moment, what I felt like I needed was to return. And how we're holding these three refuges here in Unity is in alignment with actually our core values and what we believe here. So there, again, I've always said this, we're all pointing at the same place. We're using different language maybe, different way of articulating, but we're all pointing at the same direction. And so I return to the Buddha for us would mean I am returning to oneness. I return to the Dharma for us would mean I return to principles of truth. And I return to the Sangha is I return to community. And I don't know about you, but community for me right now feels so important. And I feel truly honored that I was able to sit with 90 people in silence for the most part for 5 days. And one of the things that arose out of this was a synthesis. If we take all of this, what it means is awakening to truth together. Awakening to truth together. Anybody in here felt a little alone lately? I had this really surprising experience on retreat. So if you've never been on a retreat at Spirit Rock, it's a lot of sitting for 30 minutes, walking, meditation for 30 minutes, sitting for 30 minutes, walking, meditation for 30 minutes, sitting for 30 minutes, walking, meditation for 30 minutes. This was a yoga retreat. So we would sit, walk, yoga, lunch, sit, walk, yoga, Dharma talk, sit, walk, dinner, right? And after dinner, there would be a sit at 7 p.m. And each night that we were there, they held what they called affinity groups. And so they had 2 nights set aside for BIPOC, people of color, to go sit somewhere separate and sit together. And then they had 2 nights for LGBTQ+, where we could go and sit separately. And so I thought, oh yeah, I'll go. I want to see who else is here who's queer, you know. It was more curiosity than anything else. And we were in a separate space. It's peer-led, so there was no one else there but people who identified as LGBTQ+. And we sat in silence for half an hour. I got to experience something that, honestly, I don't know if I've ever really felt, which says a lot about what it's like to be queer in America. I actually felt safe. I was sitting with 20-odd people, and think about that. There's 90 of us there, and more than 20 were queer, right, who were identified. And I felt safe. And I really understood this idea of taking refuge in the Sangha, of turning to community, of not feeling so alone in whatever it is that we're in the midst of whatever it is that's going on in our life. And that the opportunity was to awaken to truth together, to awaken to the truth of our safety together, to awaken to the truth of our wholeness together, to awaken to the truth of the power of love together. And Maya Angelou says, when it comes to life, the critical thing is whether you take things for granted or take them with gratitude. And I really realized how often I have taken my community, this community, all of my communities, on some level for granted. And I had a really profound shift into gratitude. Gratitude that these communities exist. Gratitude that Spirit Rock had the foresight to create an affinity group, to allow me to experience something that I realized I had never experienced, which was like a deep safety. I mean, think about the bubble I was in. I was in one room with 20 people on the land at Spirit Rock, in the middle of Marin, in the middle of the San Francisco Bay Area, in California, right? I mean, there were so many levels of bubble that I could actually feel safe. So, Scripture says, give thanks in all things. And I think we kind of don't really pay attention to this, because what it says is give thanks in all circumstances. Not some of them, right? We don't get to pick and choose. In all circumstances. And then also the word in. It's not that you're being invited to give thanks for all circumstances, because that would be impossible, right? But we're being invited to give thanks in all circumstances. Can you feel the difference there? Kristen Armstrong says, when we focus on our gratitude, the tide of disappointment goes out and the tide of love rushes in. So one of the things that we do here in Unity is we believe in our capacity of practice, to practice. And when we practice, that is the process of awakening. That is how we get to grow. That is how we get to understand truth in a different way. So is everyone ready for an adventure? I decided I wanted to go interactive today. And Debbie was hitting the text thing for a reason. Because what I'd love to do is to have people actually in real time. Debbie, can you grab my phone for me? In real time. Yeah, it's in the side, one of the side pockets. To text what it is that you are grateful for. What is it? And I will read them aloud, not your name, I'll just read aloud what it is. If you don't want me to read it aloud, which is fine, just put an SH in front of what you're about to say for shh, okay? Or you can put it at the end, and I won't actually read that one aloud. So if you are not part of our text service, you first need to send welcome to that phone number, and then you will be part of it. I want the people who are online to be able to participate. This is one of the reasons too, right? I wanted everyone to feel like we can come together in community. And the question that I'm going to ask you is, even in the midst of, I am grateful for, right? What is it that no matter what is going on in our life, and I know that the holidays can be really challenging for some people. Anybody in here missing relatives? Like, there's all kinds of things that come up for us around the holidays. And so the invitation is to realign our focus with something else, right? So, and whatever it is you notice, it doesn't have to be big, right? It only needs to be authentic. I've shared that in the midst of some of my healing processes, where I was literally flat on my back for a really long time, that sometimes the only thing that I could be grateful for was that I was breathing. Like, that was it. It was that simple, that I was still breathing. So it doesn't have to be a big, momentous thing. What are the small things that you're actually grateful for, right? What can you actually be grateful for? Oh, look, my phone is already lighting up. So even in the midst of political uncertainty, I am grateful for this unity community. Maybe there's a special creative project that you're grateful for. Maybe there's some new relationships or old friendships, or maybe your health is improving, or maybe you're making progress towards some of your goals, right? What is it that you are grateful for? Even in the midst of isolation, I am grateful for the kindred, for the kindness of people. Even in the midst of change, discomfort, and fear, I am grateful for the awareness of the unconditional love that we are constantly swimming in. One word: health. Financial security, that works too. In the midst of financial uncertainty, I am grateful for my main squeeze. I love this community. Even in the midst of stress, I am grateful for God's hug. Even in the midst of heartbreak and disappointment, the love I feel in my heart for family and friends. Being estranged from my daughter, I am grateful for the heart connection we always have. Even in the midst of everyday challenges, I am grateful for the opportunity to know God. What I really wish I could do is just have them up on the screen, scrolling by for everybody. Next, I'll work on that, okay? I'll work on that. Even in the midst of divorce and separation, I am grateful for awakening and transformation and growth. Even in the midst of stress, I am grateful for God's hug. I clearly like that one. Even in the midst of change, discomfort, and fear, I am grateful for the awareness of the unconditional love that we are constantly swimming in. I keep picking the same ones. They're coming in so fast. In the midst of optical upheaval, I am grateful for freedom. It's political. I like optical upheaval. I think that's great, right? Because it looks like upheaval from what we're optically seeing, but what do we know it is? It's breakthrough, right? So I'm going to keep it. In the midst of optical upheaval, I am grateful for freedom. That's so wonderful. I am grateful for my granddaughter, Marigold. My health, from all the relationships from bugs to invisible, no longer in their body. Oh, let's breathe into that one for a second. For all relationships, from bugs to invisible, no longer in their body. All those people that came before us, right? Even in the midst of a cold, I am grateful that I can join you from home. We're grateful that you can join us from home too. Oh, even in the midst of fear, grateful for health and love. Even in the midst of tension, grateful for our mischievous cats. So, this feels good, doesn't it? To just hear what other people are grateful for. There's a discussion circle after in the courtyard. I invite you to just join and just keep sharing your gratitude, right? Keep sharing it. And if you're watching this at home and it's not Sunday morning, that doesn't matter. Just send in your gratitudes, right? Because I will see them. I love how full this is, right? And I love this quote, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. And the thing that I think is most important is at times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. So maybe there's a specific person or people that you want to just say, I'm grateful for. Just grateful. Because take a moment and just think about who you are right now. No matter how tumultuous and how much your life might have been an optical upheaval, all of that shaped and formed who you are in this moment. So while we may not be able to be grateful for some of those experiences, can we understand that gratitude exists in those circumstances? I'm pretty happy about who I am. And that arose out of a lot of really challenging things. But I can be grateful for that because I am who I am, because of how I had to navigate those circumstances. Is everyone understanding how gratitude becomes a pathway for healing our heart? It becomes a way for us to realign ourselves with something other than our disappointment or our hurt or our anger or our fear. And I will say this, fear is contagious. It's more contagious than COVID, okay? Fear is so contagious. So part of what I understand why I'm here right now to be and to do is to not succumb to the fear, to not allow that to be where I'm choosing from or interacting from or living from. We know from our spiritual understanding that there is another level of beingness, awaken in truth together, that we are inviting each other into, and if we stand in that, and it's uncomfortable, but if we stand in that, we are also doing it for everyone else. I personally believe that we need to be avatars of light that are anchoring our deep values, deep values of oneness, of wholeness, of inclusivity, of connection. We cannot separate ourselves from anyone. And whichever side of the political spectrum, whichever side of your family dynamics, whichever side of whatever is happening in your life you think you are, quote unquote, on, my invitation to you would be to sit with the invitation for letting the boundaries go. Because it is from that place of surety. And the civil rights movement, the Black leadership has taught us this, that when we stand in light and love, when we stand in our values, even in the face of horrific fear, even in the face of horrific everything, that change is possible. And for me, it all begins from a place of gratitude, that I have to find a way in because my heart, how many people in here have felt their heart close down? That's not the answer. I can guarantee you that. I don't know what the answer fully is, but I know that closing our hearts down is not the answer. So keep them coming. Let's just take a moment and close our eyes. Jeremy, if you want to just give us a little something here. And I'm going to invite everyone to take a deep breath and to call into their minds, into their hearts, all the things that you are grateful for. From the bugs to the people who may have passed on, for the mischievous cats, for community and friendship, for the one heart of love, for the present. Be thankful for the squirrels. Be thankful for the presencing of your pets, of your family. Family, friends, grateful to live in this country. Grateful to know that there is something else that we get to place our attention upon. Unconditional love, light, beauty. And as you call to mind whoever is in your heart, whatever situation or people, I just invite you to allow that appreciation to just spread forth. Allowing your gratitude to soften those rough places. Not gratitude for, but gratitude in the midst. Gratitude in all circumstances. And just send love and thanksgiving out into this world. Let us rest here for a few minutes in the silence as we allow ourselves to just be centered in gratitude. And if there are names that you want to call out right now, people, situations that you want to express gratitude for, my Aunt Ruthie, always. My dad, my beautiful wife, all the cats that have ever been in my life. This beautiful community. Dr. Cindy Hacker. Our beautiful choir. Prayer chaplains. Thank you, Charcel. And so how good it is to just allow ourselves to feel something that is centered in the truth of our being. Gratitude is that doorway to that unconditional love, to that beauty, to that joy. And just allowing ourselves to step through that threshold and feel the joy, feel the possibility in all circumstances. How grateful I am, truly, for this beautiful community and for their willingness to play along with me today. And for this and so much more, I do give thanks. And so it is. Amen.